today I will be making a Cyser, which is a mead that is made with apples. In this particular case, it is some old-fashioned apple cider. The brand in this particular case is Cedardale Orchards, which is about an hour north of where I am. Teddy and I happened to be driving, doing a day out and about a few weeks ago, and we saw this big sign that just said cider on the side of the highway, and we were like, okay, we should stop there on our way back. We totally tried, couldn't find it. And then we tried again, couldn't find it, and realized that we had just missed the turn. Third time's a charm. We found it and got ourselves some cider. So we're going to be making a sparkling cider today. Sparkling mead, apologies. It is based on cider. So, and it's going to be a 2-gallon batch so that we can fill our keg and enjoy it in a few weeks. So we've got 2 gallons and a pint for tasting. I'll be drinking a little bit of this later just so I can make some decisions about the flavoring and tannins and things like that that really will change the flavor of the Cyser itself. So, first thing that you may have seen before I started going is that I put together our yeast with some of the apple cider. In other countries, it's just apple juice, but in apple cider is apple juice, but apple cider here just means that it's got the goop, if you will. It's got particulates in it, meaning that it's nice and fresh. It's not hard cider, which is alcoholic, which is what our other neighbors would call it. So I've got about 3/4 of a cup of the cider in a measuring cup with 2.5 grams or half a packet of yeast. Today's yeast is EC1118, aka 1118. Yeah. Using it because that's what I have, and we're looking to make this a 13% Cyser, so I can trust on that because the alcohol tolerance of EC1118 goes up to 18%. So we're looking for something along the lines of an apple champagne sort of feeling, if you will, rather than, say, Angry Orchard's hard cider. We're not going for that. We're going for something a little bit more hardcore. So we've got that going. Next, I would like to add some Fermade O to the brew. So I'm going to add 5 grams of that. I have teeny tiny little scale for gram measurements. I've got spoon ready to go. Ooh, do not breathe Fermade O straight in. It just smells like fish. Okay, so I'm looking for 5 grams. Let's see what half a teaspoon gets me. Okay, so that's just about 2, a nice heaping teaspoon. 4.9. Ooh, too much by a good half gram. Let's get some of that out. A little bit more back in. 5.01 grams. I'll take it. That is very much close enough. So, in case you were wondering, everything that you see has been sanitized in this lovely black bucket, also known as the lovely black bucket. So, all right. So I've got Fermade O. I'm just going to go ahead and add that in. I'm adding it because as much as yeast is very happy to digest sugars, it also needs some nitrogen sources and other nutrients, and honey doesn't really have that, nor really do apples, so I'm just going to add that in, and it can make the brew go very well. So there's that. All right, give it a good stir. And let that sit. All right, I am done with the tiny scale. So now on to the honey. Today's honey, as with most of my meads so far, is just Kirkland Wildflower honey. It's nice and simple. The thing up here in the Pacific Northwest, at least, I have Costco. It's like $13 for 5 pounds, which is really affordable if you look at honey prices. So just thinking of that. So first, I'm going to put my pitcher that still has some sanitizing liquid in it, there we go, onto the scale. And today I am looking for 4 pounds of honey. So how I got there. I know I want this to be about 13%. So I take the 13 ABV and divide that by the constant 131.25. And that gives me the gravity that I want, which is 0.099. So, lovely. That is a good starting point. I then have to calculate how much sugar is in 1 gallon of this cider. In this particular case, there are 20 grams of sugar per serving. Double checking that, 20 grams per serving, yes, and there are 16 servings in a gallon. So that comes out to 320 grams of sugar. And divide that, find the conversion for that. 320 grams of sugar is about 0.7 pounds of sugar, which is great. Okay, that's how much sugar I know is in there. The gravity of sugar for 1 gallon, 1 pound of sugar in 1 gallon of mead, if you will, must, in 1 gallon of must is 0.046. So divided that, and I got 0.033. To subtract that from the 0.099, and I need 0.066. The gravity of honey per pound per gallon of must is 0.035. So 0.066 divided by 0.035 comes to like 1.8 or so. So I'm going to just round that up to 2. And that's for 1 gallon, mind you, 1 gallon. I'm doing 2 gallons, so I'm multiplying it by 2. So in total, I'm looking for 4 pounds of honey for 2 gallons of must. So here we go. Here is number 1. We'll just measure this out. Okay. This might take a few minutes. That one sit upside down for a little bit and go ahead and open this one. I'm currently at 1.51 pounds. Okay. So now I'm at 3.4 pounds. I just want to get the last of this. I'm betting it's somewhere around a half a pound because my last mead that I made was 3 pounds and it's a 5 pound container, hence 2 pounds left. So that didn't get as much as I had wanted, so we'll go back to the more full one. This will be good later for something else. So I need about another half pound. All right, we are at 4.01 pounds. So that is a plenty. All right, so we have 4 pounds of honey here, and I am done with this scale. So as you can see, that's a lot of honey. So what I'm going to do now is shake this up so I can get all of the lovely goop that is on the bottom, because it adds flavor. Shake it up a little bit, and I'm just gonna fill as much as I can without overflowing, so that I can begin stirring. Okay, here we go. Woo. So this is my spattle. It is a spoon on the top, it is a paddle on the bottom, or reverse. You can use it either way. In this particular case, I'm liking the paddle option because it'll help incorporate the honey with the cider a little bit better. Just get things all through and mixed up in here. We're going to be here for a short bit. Is this going to dissolve completely in the current amount of cider? No. But I'm giving it a head start so that when it goes in the fermenter and I put the rest of the cider in, it'll be even easier to mix it all up and less work. So that's a good stir there. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and put this amount into the fermenter. And as you can see, there's still a lot of goop in there, a lot of honey. It's not goop, it's honey. So I will take a bit more. And just add it in. What is also good to do at this point is oxygenation. We are not oxidizing. That happens after we have alcohol, which is bad. That's what possibly can make your mead into vinegar, and that would just not taste great. Anybody who's done apple cider vinegar shots knows that it's not the best thing. It's quite unpleasant. So, however, at the beginning when you're oxygenating, this allows the yeast to have some oxygen, because yeast needs oxygen. During the process of fermentation, yeast creates carbon dioxide, CO2, and alcohol, so it needs some oxygen to get in there at first. Alright, that's coming out nice and clean now. Scrape down the sides a little bit more. Alright. We are 1 gallon in, and it looks like there's still some more honey in there, so we get to do it again. Release the seal, put that back on, shake it up, shake it up, shake it up. I honestly don't know the words to that song. I am not the biggest Swiftie fan, I'm not gonna lie. However, she is a badass, so. We'll just do that much for now. And I will say when we got this cider, it was in a refrigerator, and it does say to keep refrigerated. However, as you can guess, yeast does not like cold. If you've ever noticed, anything that you proof overnight for bread, such as sourdough, if you put it in the fridge, it takes forever because the yeast go dormant. They get sleepy. They don't go as fast. And so I set the cider out for about an hour, hour and a half to help it warm up a little bit. But that's also why the honey is not dissolving as quickly as it could, because it's not warm at all. All right. There we go. That's nice and cleaned out now. All right, and now I'm going to shake the rest of this. That's nice and oxygenated, and glug it on in. Number 2. So if you're worried about this much headspace, is what it's called, and it oxidizing, no. That's not going to happen because, as I said before, during the fermentation process, yeast create carbon dioxide. That will fill this cavity, and once I have a lid on top, I will have an airlock that will let CO2 out, but no oxygen back in. All right, so that I can get accurate readings, I'm going to go ahead and add our yeasty mixture. All right, stir that, get it fully incorporated. Make sure it's nice and homogeneous, and then we can take a reading. Now, when it comes to readings, I am one of those people that uses a refractometer rather than a hydrometer, so it reads in Brix rather than in general gravity. I don't do the math. I have a formula for that in my Excel spreadsheet about all my brews. So I did my math by trial and error, and found out that I need at least the Brix to read 23.8. Yeah, 23.8. So when I take this reading, we will find out if I'm anywhere close, or if we need to add more honey. I can't really subtract honey at this point, but I can dilute if I need to. Nice and mixed. Let's turn this bad boy on. All right. Here we go. All right, I'm at 26.6. So that is not quite where I want it to be. Let me double check myself. I was very wrong. Yes, I was very wrong. What I wanted was 23.6, so now I'm at 26.6. I am golden. I figure because of the extra honey, that's why it's higher. Because we figured for basically 3.6 pounds, a little bit over 3.6 pounds, and there's 4 pounds in here, 26.6 totally makes sense. So now I am going to go ahead and add some tannins. Tannins help with the mouthfeel of the brew. It kind of gets that dry sucking feeling, and I would like for that to be present. Let me just double check myself as I have a sample of the original apple cider. I can say it, I swear. Very sweet, very appley. It doesn't need a lot of tannins, but just a little bit. So, it says 1/4 to 1/2 teaspoon per gallon. I am going to go with 1/4 teaspoon because it does not need much. And 1/4 teaspoon split between 2 gallons is 1/8 of a teaspoon. I think that should be perfect. If I'm wrong, we can add more later. One last other thing that I need to check is the pH. Now, yeast have a happy place when it comes to pH. It is anywhere between like 3.5 and generally 5, maybe 5.5. Anywhere below that, the yeast are dead because it's too acidic for them. Anywhere above that, there's a higher risk of botulism. So we want to avoid that. So let me get my pH paper here. And a little sample. All right. What do we got? Oh, I've got a solid 3. No, it's hard to tell with the bubble. You know, I'm gonna call it 4 because that's what I think matches best. One day I'm going to get a digital pH monitor because as much as these are convenient, I like seeing numbers. It's just one of my things. I like actually seeing numbers. So pH is good, and we've got the tannins in, we've got the yeast in, we've got the fermento in. I think we're ready to go ahead and top this off with a lid. If it will seat, there we go. Lid. There we go. And airlock. That's that. Yep. Okay. All right. And now we're going to let it sit. I am currently estimating at least a week. We'll see how it is in at least a week with a reading, but I'm guessing it's going to take at least 2. We'll see how much activity there is in the airlock, and I'll take some visual and smelling tests a little bit later. But I'm expecting this, because of the temperature, I'm not expecting this to be really active until at least tomorrow. Yeah, at least tomorrow. So we'll see you next time I take a reading.